Wisconsin visits Penn State this Saturday. It's Penn State's last game of the season, a very troubling season in many ways, but a very victorious season, I would think, too, for the Penn State faithful, what they've been through. I'm not a Penn State graduate. My daughter is. I'm a Penn State fan. It's a huge game for them. Not so much for Wisconsin. Certainly they want to win it. I'm on Penn State minus the 3 in this game. The total is 45. Tells you I remember when 45 used to be a high-scoring game. Now it's a low-scoring game. But this is going to be a low-scoring game, a very defensive game. I like Penn State minus a 3. Some of the reasons I have, if you go and look through the schedule for Wisconsin, Oregon State, they lost. Nebraska, lost. Michigan State, lost.
Yep.
Ohio State, lost. I'm looking down. What's their most impressive win? You know what it is? Utah State early in the year, before Utah State knew what they were. I think if Utah State plays them again,
and they won that by what, like 2?
16-14 was the final, exactly. I think if you look at this Wisconsin team, they are not that good. They've beat up a lot of weak sisters in the Big Ten, and Penn State, conversely, started off with 2 straight losses early in the season. Could have won that second game. Ohio U really did beat them. But after that, they lost the second game to Virginia on 5 missed kicks. Ohio State beat them handily, and Nebraska beat them pretty good too. But I think all their losses are pretty honorable. This is their last game of the year. They're not going bowling. Everybody knows that. They can't play for the Big Ten championship. Huge game for a class that really has taken a lot of pride in trying to restore a little reputation in Penn State. And this is my best bet of the week. I love Penn State, and this is what I'm going to go with. Chuck, your thoughts?
I was just going to say too. The Nebraska game, Penn State led. That was a deceiving score. You look at the final score, you think Nebraska, but Penn State actually had a nice lead, kind of got away from them. But I feel like this is a Wisconsin team who's been overrated all year. Maybe they've got a little better, but we know how overrated they've been. 2 weeks ago when they played Indiana, everybody was talking about how many yards they got and everything, and they ran the ball all over the place. But you look at the previous week against Michigan State, they barely were able to move the ball. Now they play another pretty good, obviously good team, Ohio State. They lose the game. They got lucky just to get the game in overtime.
Yes.
Penn State will be, what a job this O'Brien has done.
Forget about it.
VR.
Again, what's the price and what's my line? And this is one of those situations where my power rating, after adding in home field advantage, may reflect a little value on Wisconsin if you're able to get 3.5. But there's other factors that you got to add, and those are what you touched on. And that's what's not in the power rating.
Right.
The motivation from Penn State, this being the last game, they're not going bowling, the type of season they had, all the adversity they faced. And those are things you can't really create a number for, but instead you just got to feel it. And I got to agree with you. Although I may not have too much line value in Penn State, I think the spot really favors them, especially Wisconsin coming off the game they had last week.
Yes.
And now you got to go to Penn State, who's waiting for you. So I agree. For me, it's Penn State or pass. I haven't bet it personally, but for me, it's the favorite.
Well, I bet it, and
that's good enough for me.
We talked before.
For me.
I had that one thing I had last week. It was my biggest bet of the year. This is my second biggest bet of the year.
Wow, that's good enough.
Maudy, the linebacker who got hurt and really held this team together. He won't play, but he's been participating in practices, and his parents are up here in Penn State. He wants to be a part of this team. So it's a huge inspirational, huge motivational factor. And I want to tell you this: if it comes down to a coaching decision late in the game, this is like Newt Rockne against Richie Kotite. I'm telling you right now.
Kotite.
I'm bringing back Philip. That's for you, my friend. All right, we've talked about. Let's go ahead and make it official.
That's awesome.
I forgot that name.
I'm going to play Penn State minus the 3 over an overrated Wisconsin team. An inspired Penn State will win this game, I believe, pretty easily. So lay the 3 on Penn State. Last game of the year for the Nitany Lions.
You know what? That's so funny. I don't play fantasy football. I shouldn't even bring it up. But I'm in a league for kids I grew up with. It's a big money league, and you got to get in it. It's one of those things every year everyone gets in it. And that's the Kotite Award. Whoever's in last place,
I did not know that.
Gets the Kotite Award.
I was thinking of a bad coach, and I said, VR.
No, you win. Someone wins the championship, and the last place gets the Kotite Award.
It sounds very appropriate. Okay, coming up next, we're going to have Chuck Edel is going to talk to us about
The Fresno Air Force.
Fresno Air Force
Key game, marquee game, Chuck. Primetime Chuck.
You can see all our videos at pregame.tv.
I love it. Rivalry week.